Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Innkeeper, and today I would like to welcome you back to Kingdoms and Castles. Something I realized before I started recording today, that's apparently all of the flags go stiff when you pause. A little bit weird. I don't know why I noticed that, and I don't know why they do that, but there we are. And then they just sort of all synchronize their animations. It's not just sort of some random thing, which makes sense. I mean, I guess it would be a little bit more of a pain to get something like that done. But there we are. Good to know. Good to know. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Mervdonia is running prosperously, and the game has also updated, which is quite exciting. They've added a few extra things, including something that I really like, which is the stone roads. So we can increase travel time quite substantially, and also we have a load more UI options now, right here. We've got all the names for the people that work here. We can also look at the fire risk, which is quite nice. Now, cities or buildings, the only ones that have a chimney will be the ones capable of setting on fire. And their likelihood of being set on fire can be seen right here, the little arrow. And they could basically be immune to fire. So look, this stone is immune to fire. So this is what this is. This is what this says. Stone is apparently immune to fire. I don't know if this building is immune to fire, but it does have several chimneys, which I do believe does increase its chance to set itself alight. So there's a medium risk. Additional wells recommended. So because this well isn't as close as it could be, it's unfortunately made it so that this manor could have the potential of at least starting to catch alight, which I quite like. So hopefully we won't have random buildings just catching on fire for the sake of it catching on fire and causing horrible things to happen. Something else I also need to do is stop making tools, and I need to do that. There we are. I have plenty of them. 247 is pretty much more than enough. And in fact, we're probably going to just close the blacksmiths for the time being. We don't need it to be open. And the same thing with our iron mine, because at the moment I still believe iron isn't really used for anything. Now, another really big part of the game, which in fact, I might even like this more. You can now irrigate the land. Wrong tab. We have an aqueduct system, basically. So we can gather water from fresh sources. There's two water types now. There's salt water and fresh water. So this is fresh water, and I'm imagining anything outside of the middle is probably salt water. I don't know. This is fresh water, fresh water. I don't really know what the distinctiveness is. Everything is just fresh water. I don't know if it's because I need to start a new save for that to take place. I'm assuming that's probably the case. But for me, everything is fresh water, which I'm happy about. And what this does, it allows you to farm tiles that were otherwise barren. I don't know if we can place a barn here. We can't. However, it says right here, soil must either be naturally fertile or receiving irrigation, which is quite cool. I like the idea of that. So what we do is we get, I don't know how to pronounce it. There's Nuair. I don't know. I'm just going to call it a water wheel. Get a water wheel, connect it to an aqueduct, which connects to a reservoir. And the reservoir does have a little radius, as you can see right here. Place that down, and that's going to fertilize the land around it. I don't know if it's going to have a sort of debuff, as it were, the further out that its radius gets, to the point where... And not only that, but also... I mean, it allows these barren tiles to be farmed. And also, I can't remember putting this windmill here. Why is there a windmill there? I mean, I guess it makes sense to have a windmill there, but it's just a little bit odd, I suppose. I will be demolishing that because I would rather there be a wall in the way, which I'm looking forward to replacing most of our walls, or most of our walkways even, with stone ones, because they do increase walk speed by 50%, which is quite nice. You can also make wood castle blocks now. Really good for the early game. I don't know, I really was hoping you could sort of add like a wood top to the stone, just to have a nice sort of more Viking-ish settlement. I was sort of hoping you could synchronize the tiles there. Of course, having stone on top of wood wouldn't make sense, but having wood on top of stone does make sense. And I was hoping that would sort of be the case, maybe an even cheaper way to have a fully fledged wall without sort of committing too much stone to the walls. I don't know, something to think about, but I would... Mostly, I just want it for an aesthetical appliance to walls, just so it's not always this. Which I guess now it's not going to be. We can just make wood walls over here now if we wanted, just to make it look a little bit cooler as a settlement. And I do believe the blocks... Just getting Merv right now because he's rattling about. I do believe the blocks are it's only capable of going about 3 blocks high or something like that. We also have another statue, Queen Barbara, And these do have, or these now have, a happiness bonus. So there is a reason to put them down. As to where I put it, I'm kind of thinking of putting one where the blacksmiths is and just moving the blacksmith somewhere else. Because I kind of think it's irrelevant considering I'm not bothering to make armaments. In fact, that would be a really cool idea. Not to mention the town halls or town squares are now considered a road. So we don't need to have this road around it anymore. This is just a waste of space. We can pretty much just throw it in the corner and it will be considered a road. I don't know if it's going to have the same movement speed buff. But that, you know, at least we get the happiness benefit, which is already generated, plus 8 happiness for being connected to a road. And then not to mention the extended happiness bonus from having a town square nearby anyway, which is always quite nice. Not to mention the fact that we can now... what was I going to say? There was a transition from there, and I can't remember exactly what it was. However... Give me a moment. Oh, okay, right. And not to mention, something else that's been affecting our happiness lately is the fact that we can't get food to our areas that quickly. Now, they've sort of resolved this to an effect by increasing the length of the year by 50% and also making it so that... Actually, I think there was something else I believe they did. They've increased the, like, pathfinding or something. I think it's mostly a combination of having the stone roads with a longer year means that the households, sort of owners, the head of household right here. So this building has 4 of them. Yeah, 4 heads of households. They can get food from wherever they get it from back to their household within that time frame. And that way we're not going to get the happiness debuff associated with having a quote-unquote starving nation. But really they're not. They're actually eating fairly substantially. So that's good. Happy about that. Really excited to play around with this. There's a few other things. Festival yields now don't essentially double. I believe they half for each festival. So what I used to do to counterbalance any sort of happiness debuffs was I'd just pay to have multiple festivals and they would stack upon themselves. That doesn't work anymore. Or at least not. It works to a limited capacity. Okay, so you get the full happiness bonus. Let's just try it right here. From having a festival, 15%. However, that won't go up to 30 anymore. That should only go up by... Well, I think it's halved. I don't think they're really specified. But now it goes up to 25 instead of 30. So it progressively gets lower and lower. And really, we... oh, that's something else entirely. We go over to this festival right here, pay for the other one. Goes up to 30. So it sort of... It gets less potent as we have more festivals. But we can get about plus 30 right there from paying even. So I don't know why the G was enunciated there. I gotta sort of wait. I can't remember how much it cost. 35 gold or something like that, I believe. So 105. 105 gold for an extra bit of happiness. Kind of good, I would say. As for irrigation, now I do believe the irrigation system does improve crop yield. Kind of interested in trying that. So at the moment, our food output is 8. Okay. I think it's weaker than it used to be. Yeah, far weaker, in fact. Is it really just 8, or is that plus? Okay, no, there's a base output there, which is of 4, which is also less than what it used to be. Is this fertile land? Yeah, high soil, fertility... Medium, medium, medium. Okay, then. Well, we're going to try this anyway, because it's kind of fun. Now, as to where we put this, I think it does take up 1 block, and that's it. Where do we put it as well? Do we want it to be here? Or just sticking out on the side? Or do we want it here? I kind of like the idea of having it here. It's kind of a nice spot for it. So let's demolish that. Let's go ahead and place it down. There we are. I do believe building is also a little bit quicker. I think they've done a few improvements to the AI when it comes to prioritizing, which is always nice. Also, I do believe... Oh, okay, Viking invadings. Viking invaders. The Vikings now have catapults, as you can see. Not great. So the ships can now destroy any walls that would otherwise be completely covering up your islands right here. So before, what you could do was just have a wall around everywhere. That way there was nowhere for them to land. Now they can just use catapults. Ogres as well can now escape from the ships without them needed to be landing. without them needing to land as well. They also seem to destroy these trees, which they did before, I suppose. This is causing a lot of trouble when they park up over here. Kind of want to watch these catapults in action, though. Really curious to see just how potent they are. But I don't think we're going to see that. Oh, wait, no. That one fired. Oh, there we are. Little bit of damage right there on the castle block. Seems like it does the same amount of damage as a single hit from an ogre. Unfortunately, we are losing forestries here. Not the two I was expecting, though. It looks like it's just these two that we lost, which is not that bad, I suppose. Let's demolish them. I really like that fire chance. That's really going to help in the future. So let's go ahead and find a forestry. Just to place those two down that we had previously. Nothing really bad happened there. Although it looks like we had a few troublemakers walk through here by the looks of it. I still don't think they even bother to attack the front gates. It would be cool if they had a battering ram of some sort to deal with that. But unfortunately, it's not really the case at the moment. We don't really have too many people idle. And most of them are getting food right now. We really do need to upgrade the roads as well. And I really would like it if the main town had the upgraded roads first. And then we sort of progressively improve everything else as time goes on. Maybe making a single road here for increased speed. I'm trying to think about this aesthetically. Unfortunately, this Viking horde is still rummaging their way through our lands. 45 peasants have taken ill, which is not ideal. But I'm going to live with that. That's fine. They are taking a little while, though, to build this. Maybe it's because our stone is a bit far away. Their stone production is pretty good. We have a competent enough stone production. There's lots of lightning strikes right now. But it doesn't seem like any structures are in, sort of any level of disrepair. I will be getting rid of this. And I will be putting down the new statue, in fact. Queen Barbara. It's Queen Islay, in fact. There we are, Queen Islay. However, how expensive is this? Is this any more than the original one? No, it's not. And it's actually fairly cheap considering. And I'm really interested to know what kind of happiness benefit this has. Unfortunately, because of the recent Viking attacks, our happiness has dropped down quite substantially. So we're going to get the extra 30 by paying 105. Which is definitely worthwhile. It also helps to get a few more people back. And our beds were much lower before, and now they've improved, which is quite interesting. But anyway, the aqueduct, I might add, does go over most structures. It won't go over buildings, but it'll go over sort of most flat terrain. I don't know if it can go over a hovel. No, unfortunately not. It looks like it could, though. Yeah, they should probably make that a thing. Maybe it might make hovels even better as well. It will go over a road, though. I mean, you don't need it to. Might be a nice aesthetic. Ooh, it is a nice aesthetic. I just realized I can use it as an arch. Okay. This makes life interesting. It's a cheaper arch than just using a gateway all the time. How expensive is 40 stone? Hold on a second. Let me get this parrot. God, he keeps nipping me. Stop it. Right, stone gate 40. Okay, it costs the same amount as a stone gate. That is a very expensive... I mean, well, may as well get a stone gate at that point. In fact, it's more expensive than a stone gate because you need to pay gold for it as well. I wonder if there's a maintenance cost. Oh, this thing looks so cool. Really cool. So I don't know if this now has an increased yield. No, we need the reservoir, of course. Let's get the reservoir put in. And because this seems to cover most of the farmland, in fact, I might want to put it around about here instead. Maybe a bit further across. That misses... not much. I think having it right here is not a bad idea. Of course, we do end up taking up a fertile land space, but it's not the end of the world. It means we get to cover a little bit more, well, a little bit more farmland. And I'm assuming this should increase our yield for all the farms. However, I do believe the total yield of farms has been decreased. I can't remember reading about that. Also, houses apparently count neighbors across the street, which is quite nice. So now, let's see if you have the bonus. Has neighbors. There we go. That's good. That was a bit of an awkward issue to deal with. But there we are. Merv keeps flying over here, so I just keep throwing him back. Because he keeps trying to destroy things. So there we are. I can get the aqueduct done. Now, looks pretty neat, I would say. Massive. It's bigger than the castle wall. No wonder it took so long to construct. It was very expensive as well, now that I think about it. It's probably why it took so long. 85 stone. Very expensive. Now, out of despair, a peasant has left the kingdom. Unfortunately, we have a bit of a food crisis just due to the decrease of yields that these farmlands now produce. What about the... Yeah, even the orchards produce a lot less by the looks of it. Oh, sorry. Just looking through the patch notes to see what else there was that I may have missed. But I don't think there was anything. Well, other than sort of small bits here and there that are just bug fixes. But that is fine. Okay, there we are. We have our Queen Barbara statue. And this should give a bonus. +5 happiness. Okay, it's not huge. I don't know if the effect does dwindle after a while. Was there a radius? No, there's no radius for it. I'm not sure if it just goes out forever. That's pretty far. Wait, maybe over here as well? Okay, it doesn't reach out to over here, unfortunately. I wonder if paying money here does anything. I have no idea. Okay, but it definitely reaches out to this point here. Which is quite a large number of blocks. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Maybe even further than 15 blocks. That's a really large radius. We're talking something like this. So we just need maybe one more statue here and one more statue here and here. No, one per island really should be able to cover everything, although this island is a little bit bigger than most. In fact, having it down here where the granary is instead probably would give us the ability to grab everything else. But there we are. The water is being taken to the reservoir, and I'm assuming now everything... Yep, receiving irrigation. So it goes up by 1. It's not huge, but it's something, I suppose. And now, that previously barren tile is a fertile one. Makes life so much easier. And I'm not just sure if maybe it's also increased the fertility of already high tiles. We got a lot of medium high fertility. No, it's just +1, and it seems to be the same for everything. So that's nice. However, don't think that's going to help us out by too much, although we are at a plus now. But that's still going to be a little bit more food per year than what we previously had. Merv, can you please stop eating the shell of a seed case? That would be nice. He does everything that he can to make my life difficult. Now, unfortunately, happiness is being heavily butchered right now due to the current food crisis. However, we are going to be having some more food down in the bottom section right here. I'm still going to go with my original plan. Although there is a lot of barren land, it's still better to have land on very fertile soil. And most of the good soil is over here. So we are going to be sticking with that. So let's go ahead and chop. Thankfully, the bottom seems to be, for the most part, over my cursor sometimes. Sometimes it isn't. Okay, I was going to give the game an applause for that, but it seems still kind of random where the icon appears. Yeah, I don't know. Would be nice if it always appeared over. Or maybe if I shift-clicked, control-clicked, no, alt-clicked. Then it would perform an action immediately, but it would just assume that I clicked chop. Having a screen like this just feels weird. I may as well have a separate button like in Stonehearth just to do it. So I could just sort of set the area rather than doing it one at a time. But I suppose the yields are so small, it's not that much of a hindrance. It's just sort of a quality of life kind of deal. We also will be getting rid of most of these rocks. In fact, we'll get rid of all of them. I don't need the iron. I already have a good iron rock. And we'll get rid of these. There we are. Very expensive. But we don't need any of those. So we're fine. As for over here, we're pretty much well defended. I don't see any reason for us to improve on our defenses. I wonder if we need to build multiple reservoirs. Do they stack? That's a good point. If I just build another one there, will that break the system?